Welcome to our demo of the Wowzers program. Wowzers is a complete math curriculum for kindergarten through 8th grade. It's based on the science of learning, which addresses cognitive, emotional, social, reflective, and physical learning, while presenting content in multiple ways that appeals to tactile, auditory, and visual learners. Students are guided toward mastery of content and the development of critical and creative thinking. The personalized curriculum covers every standard for each grade level and includes adaptive lessons and practices, videos, games, career-based quests, assessments, test prep, and blended learning activities. Assessment questions are based on the standards and mirror those found on high-stakes achievement tests and provide teachers with the information they need to individualize learning. Wowzers' award-winning teacher dashboard is available to teachers and administrators and tracks individual student and classroom progress in real time. It provides a variety of reports to ensure that all students are mastering the content and that teachers are given the information they need to personalize learning. Brain-based research emphasizes the fact that engagement must be the goal of all educators. Wowzers engages students with research-based strategies, including a variety of learning activities that build both declarative knowledge and cognitive skills using different learning modalities to engage and reach learners at their skill and interest level. Based on the science of learning, we know that both engagement and feeling rewarded for achievement are important. Wowzers provides a reward system of virtual coins that students then use within the program. Each section of Wowzers has a story-driven mission that makes math relevant. On the first day using Wowzers, students go through a quick tutorial where they're introduced to Wowzers and their overall goal. At this point, students create an avatar that they use throughout their math quests. We're going to start off by logging into a demo account. If you'd like access to a demo account, just email us at math@wowzers.com. Let's take a look at the Wowzers curriculum. Click on your name, then click Curriculum to view the content. A Wowzers subscription gives you the complete curriculum for all grade levels to allow for personalized learning paths for each student from multiple grade levels of content to help fill in learning gaps or advance instruction. The program is designed to build self-esteem and confidence in a student's ability to learn, as students are not shown the grade level of content. Fear of failure or embarrassment is eliminated. We're going to explore a sample of the 4th grade content. To see the standards for your state, you will select it from this list. Once you've made your selection, the system remembers your choice across all grades, so you won't need to choose it again. For now, I'll leave it on the Common Core state standards, but note that the standards do change depending on which state you select. The next thing you can do is download the curriculum map. The Wowzers curriculum is designed so that you can either follow the default scope and sequence or customize it. We recommend saving this file on your desktop so that you can refer to it as you start using Wowzers. If you already know what standards you want your students to work on, you can find the standard in this document, check which Wowzers section it's covered in, and then create a lesson plan based on that content. If you have your students take the Wowzers pre-assessment, it will identify the standards that your students need to work on as well. Let's take a look at the curriculum. The content is divided into sections that focus on math concepts and standards. The curriculum includes a variety of approaches that engage students in learning that leads to mastery of content. Those approaches include the tryout, lesson, practice, game, quest, assessment, and blended learning activities. Students can be assigned all sections of this curriculum or only certain parts. The curriculum can be previewed from this page. Let's take a look at the first day in this section. A day in Wowzers generally takes around 50 minutes to get through, but this will vary with the student and with the customized path that the teachers choose for their students. The first part of the day is the tryout. The tryout is a 3 to 4 question diagnostic assessment. It's designed to check students' prior knowledge before they start the lesson. As soon as the student gets a question wrong in the tryout, they're going to move immediately into the lesson. In the settings, you can decide what happens when a student answers every tryout question correctly. Because they already know the content, you can choose to have them move directly to the practice or to the quiz, or have them do the lesson anyway as a review. When setting up your classroom, this option can be customized for the entire classroom, a particular group of students, or just an individual student. The next activity is the lesson. The lesson is interactive as it teaches each concept, asks a question to check for understanding, then moves to the next concept as it builds on itself. This eyeball icon next to the lesson allows you to preview the entire lesson without recording any data about how you answer the questions. If the student doesn't know what a key word means, they could just click on it to learn the definition. When they're ready to proceed, they just click the Next button. Students generally never go for more than about a minute before engaging with the lesson. When this box is yellow, it's asking for the student to answer a question and reinforce what they've just been taught. Now that the question has been answered correctly, the student goes on to the next concept. After finishing the lesson, students move on to the practice. The practice is adaptive, which creates a unique experience for each student as they answer the questions. For example, a student who answers all the questions correctly will receive more challenging problems, but often won't need to answer as many questions as a struggling student before moving on. Each student gets a few chances to answer each question correctly before it moves on to the next problem, and if their final score at the end of the practice is less than 70%, they're automatically sent to the remediation. The remediation video teaches the lesson in a different way. It's presented as a chalk talk, reintroducing the concept and walking the student through similar questions that were missed in the practice. At the end of the remediation, students get a second chance to answer the practice problems. After that, they move on to the game. The game is a 7 to 9 minute long, engaging learning activity that reinforces the math concept being taught and helps build students' cognitive skills. Each game includes a quick tutorial to show the student how to play. They then choose to begin when ready. In this game, students read the place value chart, then type in the matching number in a race against the clock. After the game ends, students move on to the quest. As they progress through the story-driven quest, students use the personalized avatar they created when they first started using Wowzers. The quest provides context for the math skill the student just learned by introducing a real-life occupation or situation where the math skills and concepts are used in the real world. The quest answers the question of, why do I need to learn this? We end the day with a formative assessment over the day's concept. All assessments mirror those found on high-stakes tests, and all these assessments can be printed as well. Scores can be viewed from the teacher dashboard. The final day is a summative assessment covering all the concepts in the section. When you look at the scores report, this is the day you want to pay attention to in order to see growth. Here's an example of what an assessment question looks like. Because I'm using a computer, I'm going to click in this box and type in the numbers using my keyboard. If I was using a tablet, I would instead use the pop-up keyboard. Then I just click Done and move on to the next question. Some questions require students to respond with a short explanation. Teachers are given a rubric to quickly grade these questions, which can be done from the dashboard. We'll show how to do this later in the demo. Each grade level has different options for blended learning activities, such as offline games, discussion questions, and group activities that further help students understand math concepts and develop creative and critical thinking skills while supporting the standards of mathematical practice. These resources can be printed and used to enhance what students are working on in the Wowzers online program. Wowzers also offers differentiated printable homework assignments for those students who do not have access to computers at home. An answer key for the printable homework is included. Instead of buying a workbook, you can just print off these exercises that are already aligned to the lessons and standards being taught each day. Next, we'll take a look at the Dashboard tab. You can think of this as your grade book. This Path tab is where you'll find your lesson plans, and the Reports tab is where you can access a variety of reports for your classroom and individual students. The avatars that the students created at the beginning of the program will appear on your dashboard, and they represent your students. These are the section scores for Wowzers. Each section of Wowzers covers several related standards and is made up of 4 to 7 days of content. In 3rd through 8th grade, we have between 26 to 33 sections, which is enough content to cover an entire school year. In kindergarten through 2nd grade, we have 10 or 11 sections, which cover all the math standards for these grades. Scrolling to the bottom, you'll see an average of how the classroom is performing week to week. Let's take a closer look at section 6.4. This is the 4th section of 6th grade. To do so, we just need to click on the magnifying glass next to the section. You can see this section is made up of 5 days of content, and we can look at the scores by day. However, let's dig in even deeper. These gray letters represent the day's activities: the tryout, lesson, practice, remediation, quest, and quiz. To see these scores, we can just click on the magnifying glass next to the particular day. And now we see the scores by activity. The last piece here is the assessment. As you saw, each day of Wowzers ends with a formative assessment. Here you can see exactly which questions the student got correct or incorrect. You also have the option to print the entire assessment or just the incorrect answers. With the information shown here, you can see how your students are progressing through the content by week, by day, and by activity. If you ever get lost in Wowzers, just click the classroom link to get back to the dashboard. Let's go ahead and move on to the Path tab. You can think of the Path tab as where you keep your lesson plans. This is where you'll customize the curriculum. Let's see how to do this. The first step is to click Edit. This is a 6th grade classroom and it's currently set to the default 6th grade scope and sequence, but we have a few options here. The first option is to add more content. We do have pre and post tests available for grades 3rd through 8th, so let's add the 6th grade pre-test. All we have to do is drag and drop content into the curriculum path. Like I mentioned earlier, you'll have access to all our content, so we could even add some 5th grade content to the 6th grade classroom. Let's go ahead and try that. At any time, you can press this button to save your work, but let's try a few more changes. We can also drag content into a different order. This allows you to rearrange Wowzers to match your existing lesson plans. So let's say the classroom is currently working on ratios. We're just going to grab the ratios section and drag it to the top. You can also pick up any of these sections and move them into any order that you want. You can also turn off any of the pieces using the eyeball toggle. Maybe you want to skip the decimal section because your students already covered it earlier in the year. The same button works within a section as well. I'm going to go ahead and expand this 5th grade section that we added earlier and turn off day 1 because I think it's too easy for this particular 6th grade classroom. And then within day 2, I'm going to turn off everything except the lesson and practice. If, for example, you want to turn off all the games, you can click this link to enable or disable all the activities in a path, which will really save you some time. So far, we've been changing the lesson plan for the entire classroom, but we also have the ability to pull students from our classroom and put them into groups. So, as an example, let's say we have 2 students performing at a 5th grade level. I can take those 2 students, put them in a group, and assign some 5th grade content without touching the lesson plan for the rest of the class. The same thing works on an individual basis. Maybe you have 1 student who needs to review a few standards from 4th grade. We can create an individualized path for that 1 student all through your dashboard. Let's take a quick look at an example. You can see Webster is on a temporary path. A temporary path within Wowzers means it's for an individual. Notice the play button here. Any student that has a play button and these gray stripes means they're working on something different. So this is my student working on 4th grade content, and these are my 2 students working on 5th grade content. As you can see, underneath their name it says Group Path. This is how you can identify what your students are working on at any given time. Students can also be assigned to work on test prep by selecting the student, clicking the Test Prep tab, choosing which grade and content to assign, whether they should begin working on it immediately or not, and then just assigning the content. Students will continue to work on this task until being assigned something else. Lastly, let's move on to the Reports tab. The Reports tab is a new tab that we built to show all the reports available. The first report we have is our summative report. This is an example of what it looks like. Our summative report provides useful metrics about student usage, performance, and growth in a format that is both easy to read and information dense. At an organization level, you can see how performance is changing over time. This report counts back from the selected reference date showing the last 7 days of activity, the last 30 days, and the quarter to date. You can view summative data at the classroom, school, or district level depending on your access privileges. You can also choose your reference date to look at information from different periods of time during the school year. This is a great report to check if you want a quick and detailed snapshot of your classroom, school, or district level progress. The next report is the standards report. This report helps diagnose which standard areas you may need to focus on with your students. Not only is this report given to you in real time, but it's also interactive. When you click to view it, you'll see the standards on the left and the symbols on the right. If you hover over the symbols, you can see what each one means. Think of this report as a spreadsheet. You can sort the standards by any symbol. For this example, let's see which standard the greatest number of students are struggling with. It looks like this is the standard students are having the most trouble with. We can also see the number of students having trouble with the standard and the section of Wowzers that covers the standard. Click on the number to see which students are in each group. All these students are scoring under 70% on questions related to the standard. Using this information, we can easily intervene and create a new group containing these students and then assign them this Wowzers section as a review. To see an overview of your classroom based on their progress on the standards, go back to the main page of the standards report and click the download button. Here you can see all of your students, their current grade in Wowzers, how much of the curriculum they've completed, and their percent of questions they've answered correctly for each standard. All this information is available in a spreadsheet format to quickly copy and paste into your gradebook or sort just like you can do from the standards report. Next is the usage report, which shows how many hours each student has spent using Wowzers. We also have a quiz scores report where you can view an interactive, color-coded report of all the daily and section quizzes. We also have the total section report, which shows how student performance is changing over time. This is available as a classroom, school, or district report. We have individual student reports that you can pull up as well. You can view an activity report, which shows their scores and how much time they spent on each activity within Wowzers, as well as a progress report, which shows students' individual progress on each standard. So there you have it, all the reports available in one place for your entire district, school, or classroom. Let's end this demo with the teacher homepage. To get there, simply click on the W in the upper left corner to visit your account homepage. This is a great place to go if you only have a couple minutes to check your Wowzers account. It provides an overall glance at your classrooms. You can find your main Wowzers contact on this page. Their name, email address, and phone number are all listed here. If you need support, you can also use the chat feature located right next to your name on the right-hand side. Our chat feature is currently open from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Central Time. We also have a variety of guides, which you can view by clicking the Help button and browsing through the list, or simply type your question into the search bar. Your homepage also includes your classroom usage and ungraded extended response questions. These questions are located within the daily and weekly assessments. You're provided a rubric to grade these and can choose to award students with 1 to 3 virtual coins for their answer. Your homepage also displays any alerts. Currently, we have 2 types of alerts. The first is when your student has finished their lesson plan, which typically happens if you assign a shortened curriculum path for review. The second type of alert occurs when a student fails an assessment. Lastly, you can view each classroom's overall performance by looking at the intervention triangle, which is available for every classroom. It shows you how many students are in each tier, and you can click on a tier to easily identify those students. That brings us to the end of our demo. The next step is to reach out to us so we can set you up with a pilot or a demo. You can either send us an email at math@wowzers.com or give us a call at 872-205-6250. You can also try a free trial of Wowzers, which gives you 2 weeks of access. Just go to wowzers.com and click the free trial button, or just type this web address directly into your browser. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn about Wowzers, and we hope to hear from you soon.